when we were new school. Flipping off police, drinking beers underage in a swimming pool. But times have changed and we're old now. I think our heat's getting cold now. And now I'm just in love with your cold shoulder.
Cause we fight and then we make love. We break up and then we 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. Love it when we hate fuck.
Nobody can change us. I cannot fall asleep without you by my side, but when you're here I'm all cold. Yeah, we got something special, but I cannot be the main act in a role. Tell me what you gonna do when they catch us, when they pull out big guns and they blast us. The final end to our mad love. Cause we fight and then we make love. We break up and then we 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. When we dance and then we fall hit the speed and then we slow down. 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. And then we make love. We break up and then we 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. When we dance and then we fall hit the speed and then we slow down. 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us.
light you shine on me. Your angel eyes won't set me free. Why can't you save yourself? I don't deserve your heart or hell. I'm drowning your devotion to me. Baby, we can't fight our nature. I'm your demon, you're my savior. You bring out my worst behavior. Let's go. Worst behavior. Worst behavior. Baby, we can't fight our nature. I'm your demon, you're my savior. You bring out my worst behavior. You try to fix me when I'm too far gone. I try to hurt you every time I run. Why can't you save yourself? I don't deserve your heart or hell.
What is up, Level Up Nation? I love this. Everything is completely broken. It must be a Monday, so we're going to hot fix that live. Welcome to Level Up Nation. This is the Monday, February 15th edition. You can't see us right now because OBS has decided to just overly complicate everything. I don't even think Joey's microphone is like even live on here yet, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Let's see here. Okay, so for whatever reason, Joey's microphone is it has to be a Monday, Joey. It has to be a Monday. We are fixing. Oh, I see what I did there. See what I did, Joey, was I accidentally put your audio as Spotify. So my name is Fiasco, which is very ironic for the way the show is starting right now. Joey, your audio is now live. Welcome to King of the Courtside, Joey, to the show. Joey, do a little quick introduction here while I try to fix Twitch. This is a nightmare.
Yeah, hopefully the intro, the volume level is not crazy, guys. Let us know if volume levels need to change as well. But yeah, so this is a Monday. This is a holiday Monday. John, as you can see, took today off from preparing for tonight's templates.
It was working fine.
It probably was what? You think like an OBS update or something just came
It had
through?
to be an OBS update. See, look at that. Bada bing, bada boom.
Hey, we live.
Hi, what's up, fam? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Yes, this is a fiasco, Blake. I completely agree. 100%. We're back on track. Audio levels look good. Display looks great. Joey, our faces are there for everyone to cringe at. we're going to act like nothing happened. We're going to act like everything's completely fine, which means this is the part where I plug our social media. Nation, make sure you follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at LvLUp Live. And while you're on Twitter, give Joey a follow. I don't deserve one after the way this show started, so don't even bother following anyone else but Joey at Courtside King, because this has been a fiasco, which is also my Twitter handle, so follow if you want to. But we're not going to plug me at all, because today was an absolute travesty. And Nation, great news. Great news. If you want to relive everything that just happened the past 3 minutes and 40 seconds, roughly thereabout, you can catch the audio version of the show on the LvLUp Podcast, which is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And since you're listening to the podcast already, leave us a really cool review or a really bad review. Either one works, because we love that feedback. We want to make the show specialized for what you, our viewers and listeners, want. So all feedback is appreciated. So please do leave us feedback, whether it's here on Twitch, on the podcast version. Let us know what you think of the show. Joey, I still had to go to work today, so it felt like a normal Monday. Everyone else had today off, it felt like. So what in the world are we talking about today on this fiasco version of the show that's been off to a rough start so far?
We're talking a little bit of roster moves, not too much. Just one in particular. We'll be touching on a partnership between Psyonix and Ford that's a little bit exciting for Rocket League players. Epic Games had a spring showcase. The Last of Us is giving us some casting insight. We have CD Projekt Red. If any bidders are out there for their source code, that just got sold. Playtonic Games announcement, some Achievement Hunter stuff for Xbox, and much more.
All right, we have our topics. Joey, I was so excited for the show, and then the intro happened. Joey, we have our topics, but we can't even dive into them yet. I don't even want to go any further this Monday until I have my drink of choice, because I have a feeling I'm going to need it if this is how we're already off to this amazing Monday, the 15th of February start. Joey, your beverage of choice for today's episode.
John, I am going beer tonight. I'm drinking a Hoegaarden wit beer. You can pronounce all the German on that label, but yeah, there we go.
Is that a Hefeweizen?
I don't think so. A white beer, Bière Blanc, I believe is white. That's naturally cloudy, coriander and orange peel.
I really enjoy how you are drinking a German beer and you just use a French accent to kind of explain.
It's like a German Blue Moon is kind of what it tastes like.
You make me sad, Joey. I have gone back to, which I probably should have started drinking prior to the show. We're back in the beautiful copper cup here, Joey. It is the Bloody Comrade making its return. It is the hibiscus ginger beer and Belvedere vodka mixed together with a squeeze of lime in there, because lime's a fruit and that's healthy for you. So that's why you add it to your mixed drinks, and that way you can claim it's a healthy beverage. Joey, we have our drinks, we have our topics. Let's ignore the intro. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely. But first of all, thank you to the live audience tonight. It's always hit or miss on holidays. We never really know who's going to show up, but at least we have Blake over there. We have a Squircle. We have a couple other people chatting here and there. So thanks for showing up tonight, guys. I know it's a little iffy with the holiday. Some people have plans, some don't. But those that tune in, it is greatly appreciated, whether on the podcast or live here on Twitch. So thank you. Kicking things off, John, with those acquisitions, let's look at Washington Justice. They added Assassin to round out their roster. Powerhouse DPS player, previously played for Runaway. I believe he was on Runaway for like a year and a half, somewhere around there. So he's a good player. He's been in that Korean scene for a while. Runaway, one of the top contender teams out there. And the Washington Justice, looking at their full roster, how are they going to round it out? They have a couple players who play different roles. We saw Decay step into the DPS role. We've seen him step into the tank role. It kind of varies a little bit how they played out this roster. Heading into the new season, how can they round it out best? They looked at another DPS player, and Assassin is one of those players that, again, he's been around in contenders for a while, but still has endless potential, it feels like, at that DPS role. I think this is a great addition overall. Again, it kind of gives them a little bit more of a roundabout sense if they do flip players around, and bringing in young talent like Assassin is a good way to continue looking at your future ahead as well as you build that roster towards it. Yeah, and it's really a smart move too, because you're going through that talent pipeline. You're going in to these players when they're still young. They obviously have the talent in the contender scene. They have the talent in the Korean contender scene, and now you're going to make the transition to bring them to the main stage here in the Overwatch League. And you're not going to pay a premium for them either. You're not going to pay, top dollar
for a proven Overwatch League vet to try to bring them over. We've heard rumors of how much of some of these buyouts have been, how much some of these players are getting paid in Overwatch League. And Joey, I would have to assume getting a Contenders player on your roster is a fraction of the cost as buying a contract out from, let's say, a Boston Uprising or a New York Excelsior, and try to bring them to your team. So I like this move by the Washington Justice, a team that is still trying to find their footing. Like they finished last season incredibly strong. They blew a lot of people out of the water. They've really done it the past 2 seasons. They're continuing to build on that success, and they're trying to do it by bringing in that young talent and developing them into a powerhouse. I like this move, and if you're a Justice fan, you have to be excited for it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the Justice is trying to find that momentum a little bit earlier on in the season. As you said, like stage 4 of their first season in the league, they did really well. This year, they did really well in the playoffs. But where is that momentum ahead of time? It hasn't quite been there. Now looking forward, as we see them carry over a lot of these roster players, they add some more young talent as well. Hopefully they can get them meshing a little bit earlier on in the season and carry that progress forward. So we don't have to hope for a miracle playoff run. We don't have to hope for that stage 4 comeback. It'll come a little bit earlier and a little bit more aggressively. Over to partnerships and investments, John, you can pull up the image for this beauty. We have Psyonix and Ford partnering up to bring the F-150, the popular truck out there, especially for Americans. It is coming to Rocket League. Yeah. So a little bit of an interesting deal here as a partnership. We do have Ford and Psyonix linking up. Go ahead and give us a look at what that F-150 looks like in Psyonix's Rocket League.
Okay, there we go. See, that's my reminder to change the stinger as well, so everyone gets to look at the really awesome... So we're going to make that change real quick. Here is the YouTube release video for the Ford F-150.
Ford F-150, a giant among trucks. Same built Ford tough design, same tropical fruit wheels, and boost out the exhaust laser thing. Yep, same old F-150. The new Ford F-150 Rocket League Edition.
So I absolutely love, first off, the fact that they got the Ford voiceover actor to completely voice over that entire video. He had to be laughing at that because that would have been fantastic. Joey, a little close up here of what this truck's actually going to look like. Now, it's a very unique partnership. I think it's the first real life automobile manufacturer in Rocket League. So that's a really big deal for Ford. Really making that crossover in game with the iconic F-150. I'm not a truck guy, so it doesn't really do anything for me. But this does look pretty cool. I'm kind of curious as to what the hitbox would be like on something like this. Obviously something you have to test out in game. So I'm definitely going to be checking it out also. I mean, it looks pretty sweet. I mean, Rocket League usually puts together some pretty sweet 3D models. But this is really big for Ford, really breaking their way into esports with this part. Well, not esports, but gaming in general, in game with this 3D model of the F-150. I think it's pretty sweet.
And not only for Ford, John, but like you said, to my knowledge, this is the first as well. And that's going to open up a new door too. Maybe you eventually get your Ferraris or your Lamborghinis or your Bentleys, Porsche maybe. I feel like some unique cars could come in there, like maybe even a Tesla, as we've seen them partner with video games before. This seems like one of those deals that could lead to more of that. And again, I feel like we've talked about it with Overwatch before. I want to say it was Toyota sponsored them, and we're like, ooh, I wonder if they put a Toyota logo on the payload. It never came to fruition. But now we see Ford coming into Rocket League. We see that partnership between more and more car dealerships and video games in general. This feels like another flagship move where we could see more and more partnerships like that come into esports. And again, Rocket League has been really no competitor when it comes to these partnerships. They've just continued to make partnerships with everyone out there. Anyone who wants to jump into Rocket League, it feels like there's the ability to do so for so many different companies and so many different walks of life in a sense as well. So I'm excited to see if this eventually leads to more later down the line too. Anything else to say on that beautiful truck? I'm not a truck person either, to be honest. I do think the one cool thing about the truck coming in outside of like opening the door for more and more dealerships is the fact that, to my knowledge, that's a bit more of a unique vehicle in Rocket League. I don't really remember any kind of like hatchback truck in there before.
Yeah. You have like the Merc van. You have like the monster truck, and then you have a bunch of different like coupes and sedans that are 3D modeled into whatever. But yeah, it's mainly sports cars, and it's mainly the Scarab that is like the biggest meme vehicle in that entire game. But other than that, yeah, there really isn't a truck. I mean, there's really nothing close to it. It'll be kind of interesting to see how that hitbox is. Again, will they take the bed of the truck into account? Will it like shrink the hitbox in the back or something? I don't know. I mean, it's, I would imagine it doesn't. I believe it's probably still just a gigantic square around it. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it's used in competitive play, how it's used in a marketing sense, and just how well it plays in game. I think it's a great opportunity for Ford to possibly reach out to millennials and Gen Z to convince them to buy American vehicles in real life, even though I won't.
I doubt this will be a thing, but it would be hilarious if the ball could get stuck in the back of the truck.
That'd
like if it just hits off that perfect angle and for some reason gets stuck in the back. It could be a fun game mode, like limited time game mode with a Ford truck. Like, I don't know, there's a Ford truck instead of a goal and you have to shoot the ball to hit it off the wall and hit the zone in the back of the truck. I don't know. Endless potential. Very cool. I really like this partnership and what it could lead to moving forward.
Joey, do you know what Ford stands for?
I have no idea.
FORD,
Ford, right?
Found on Road Dead.
Okay. Very funny.
There you go.
There goes our potential. Ford
I learned that one in Indiana, the great state of Indiana. And they are very Chevy out there, if you couldn't tell.
Absolutely. Good stuff there. Well, good for Ford, good for Psyonix. Glad to see this happen and waiting to see what comes from this moving forward. Over to the Epic Games Store Spring Showcase, John, that happened this past week. Not a ton of takeaways, a lot of good indie games coming. They've teased a little bit about some more changes to the Epic Store moving forward. A couple other titles that will go free via the Epic Store, as well as their free game giveaway that they do. I think it's like every 10 to 15 days, if I remember correctly. So good stuff overall. Epic continuing to make moves. Again, Steam still has, I would say, the heavy majority of the player base, but more and more people downloading Epic for those free game deals, more and more people opening up to Epic, especially with some of their exclusive lockdowns. One of those big ones did get dropped, though. On March 30th of this year, you're going to see the whole Kingdom Hearts collection head to PC, and it will be an Epic Game Store exclusive. So not only is Kingdom Hearts a very popular series, mixed in with the Disney, mixed in with, it's like Disney meets Final Fantasy is kind of the overall idea here of Kingdom Hearts if you haven't played it before. Very fun game, lots of great story intertwining going on there. But it is coming to PC, so now it opens itself up to a whole new world of gamers, but it's only doing so exclusively with Epic, which is a very big get, in my humble opinion, for Epic. Not a big Kingdom Hearts fan over there? Or are you still switching slides around?
I am still trying to fix things. Everything's good on the stream end, but I'm trying to just clean up some things here and there. No, I think it's great. Kingdom Hearts is a great game, huge fan base, and the fact that it's going to be an exclusive drop here on the Epic Store is really, really cool.
Yeah, Squircle does mention the price, which is a little bit on the pricier side. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. Do they bundle it together, Squircle? I don't have it up in front of me. But it's like 4 or 5 games in total. I think it's 4 games, but then those games have different parts because they did do like the half editions mixed in too. I'm trying to find it on the good old internet here that Al Gore invented for us. Epic Kingdom Hearts. I don't remember what the final price, if they allowed you to do individual or if it was just pure bundle. Oh, it is individual, all $60 individually. Squircle, that is what happens when you have anything Disney involved in your game. Disney and Nintendo don't really like discounts. They both like to sell you games. I mean, Mario is like still $60, whatever it initially came out with on Switch. It just doesn't change. You buy an older Mario game like Mario 64, sure, you might be able to find it in a dumpster somewhere for $10. You can also find it online for like $90. That's just a Nintendo game for you. They end up selling them for full price as long as they can, even if the system is obsolete. This, again, not quite Nintendo, but it does have those Disney characters in it. Just having that Disney IP in general does allow you to kind of keep that price up at the higher end. On top of the fact it's Kingdom Hearts. It's a popular series. It's been out there. I believe every game is released on PlayStation. I think a couple of them have released on Xbox. But overall, it's been out there. It's been popular. It's brought in a lot of different eyes. A lot of different critics enjoy it as well. So now you're bringing it to PC for the first time. And I can see why they have the big price tag. I just wish there was some kind of bundled price, which I thought there was, but I can't seem to find one on here. I feel like that would be the way to go. Like, let's bundle all 4 together and maybe make it the price of 3, something along those lines. But yeah, 4 $60 games definitely puts one back. It's one of those things to throw on a wish list and hope there's eventually a sale for, probably. Moving forward, Ratchet and Clank, John, this is an interesting one. So we have a release date for it. It's a really cool looking game, similar to the Medium that we saw come out from Xbox earlier in the year, just a couple weeks ago. It's one of those two games that's going to utilize the next gen technology to run two environments simultaneously. So in Ratchet and Clank, I don't know if it's called the Void or what exactly it's called, but you can be pulled into the second environment that is kind of running in the background and then flip back and forth between the two. So that's going to be a really cool feature that really takes advantage of the next-gen hardware so far. And just those two couple games have really taken advantage of it to our knowledge as of yet. One of the other things, though, this was a game set for the launch window. We never got any other information past that. To me, John, the launch window is like 2 to 3 months. The launch window for PS5 started in November. Sony's still keeping the language as launch window here and dropping it on June 11th. I have a feeling it ended up taking a little bit longer than they thought due to COVID, but because they hadn't released a date, they felt comfortable just saying launch window and dropping June 11th.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, Blizzard could say the same thing about Overwatch 2, that it's there for the launch window of their next generation of IP to come out, and who knows, it might be 2025 before that ever happens. No, I think the term launch window is used a little liberally here. I agree. I think 2 to 3 months during the initial console launch is your launch window. These are games that they use as a marketing tool to sway people to your console over the other. June 11th is not going to sway anybody. It might, only in the sense that you still can't find a new Xbox or a new PlayStation. So that might be the only leeway I'll give them for the term launch window. But I do think this is going to play a factor with the fact, one, again, the PlayStation 5 being incredibly hard to get, the Xbox incredibly hard to get, both the S and the X. So if Ratchet and Clank comes out and you walk into a Best Buy or you walk into a GameStop and all of a sudden there's a PS5 in front of you, it might do its job and sway you to a PlayStation. So that would be the only way I would consider that launch window, just because the rarity, if you will, of the next gen console is still really difficult to come by.
Yeah, I mean, by that mindset, I think the launch window will last the whole year long, to be
Seriously.
completely honest.
Yeah.
Just how limited, and Lisa Su from AMD has come out and said, hey, look, we're producing as quickly as we can, so it's going to be limited quantity of Xbox and PlayStation, probably at least through the first half of the year, if not a little bit longer than that. But overall, yeah, I think this game, I'm not going to say it's a system seller, but I think it is one of those popular IPs from Sony. It's not God of War. It's not Horizon Zero Dawn. Days Gone, people put up there sometimes here and there. I think Ratchet and Clank is one of those games that's kind of a household name of PlayStation. And I do think it'll help sell consoles, especially in that younger age bracket, the kids to teen bracket. But even adults enjoy it. It's one of those things that, like a Banjo-Kazooie in a sense, you can jump into to see how this one ends up going through. I think it's going to be an exciting one to watch. But now we do finally have that date on it, and that is June 11th. Coming a bit later here in spring, and we'll have to see how it comes out. But I think the next-gen features in it are one of the cool takeaways. The graphics look beautiful. Ratchet and Clank also really known for cool, I guess, creative weapons and gadgets. It seems like they always have some new different things in their arsenal to play with, and I think that'll be something that we haven't really seen too much since last gen. So jumping into next-gen, do they carry a lot of those over? Do we get some of that nostalgia feel from that? Or do they give us something completely new with a lot of these weapons? So it'll be fun to see, but again, that one coming out June 11th, a lot of people pretty excited for it. Sticking with PlayStation, but switching gears a little bit, The Last of Us, one of those super popular series from PlayStation. This is one that has won awards. I believe Last of Us, the original, won Game of the Year. Then you had The Last of Us 2, won Game of the Year for a lot of different award shows. And if it didn't win Game of the Year, it won a lot of other categories. So it's one of those ones that is very popular when it comes to gaming, especially on the PlayStation platform. It's coming again, and it's coming in a new form now over on HBO as a TV series. And John, we do know our first couple castings. They got announced this past week. We have Joel, one of the main characters, being played by Pedro Pascal from Mandalorian, is where a lot of you guys know him recently. He's in a number of different shows as well. And then you have Ellie, and she'll be played by Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones. So, John, if you're going to drop anyone, we've seen them drop Uncharted before, and they had a great Tom Holland announcement there. Now you come out with big names like Pedro Pascal, one of the biggest ones out there right now with The Mandalorian, Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones, which did extremely well on HBO as well. I think this is a pretty good, solid start from what they've given us so far.
We trash these video game, TV/movie adaptions, mainly because good versions are few and far between. When you take a look at the sample size, video game adaptions to Hollywood is usually a dumpster fire. This was a very pleasant surprise. Having Pedro Pascal on there, who is Mando, that is massive. One of the biggest streamed TV shows, period. He's a great actor. We've seen everything that he can do on Mandalorian, as well as some of his other projects out there. Bella Ramsey, Game of Thrones. Name a bigger cultural phenomenon than Game of Thrones in the past 10 years. Yes, I get it. Apparently the last season sucked. I didn't watch it. I don't know. But apparently it was really bad. But here's the thing. These are two major names going to HBO for The Last of Us. This has to give you hope that HBO is sitting here and be like, look, we're going to take this video game and we're going to adapt it using the best talent we can possibly find. And that, Joey, gives me hope that this adaptation is going to work. And I'm going to say that and realize I may shoot myself in the foot later on down the road here. But this actually makes me feel excited for this video game adaptation going to television.
Am I lagging on your end, by the way? Or are you good?
It was a quick lag, but that was probably my system thing than anything.
Okay, I lagged on my side, so just making sure I am back live here. Yeah, John, I think it's really cool, and I think again, I don't want to get everyone like listener-wise hopes up, and I don't want to get my own hopes up, but there are quite a few out there that I think have a lot of potential. The Last of Us, I think, has tons of potential. I think Uncharted, the movie with Tom Holland, should do really well, or at least it has the potential to do really well. Gears of War, I don't think will do that well. I think it's got a lot of deep story to it, but it's very on the mature end. Halo, I think, has lots of potential. I think the one thing that Halo is missing compared to a lot of these other ones is they don't have a big name actor or actress. They're going with a lot of people who, yes, they've been in roles before, but they're not as big as a Tom Holland. They're not as big as a Pedro Pascal. So I think that's one of the things that could hurt the Halo series a little bit. But again, I think the material in and of itself is kind of in that sense like a Star Wars, where there's tons and tons of universe material to build on. It just kind of depends what direction they end up taking it and what they can give to the fans as well as what they can make new. Kind of like what we saw with Star Wars Fallen Order, or Jedi Fallen Order. I think that was one of the games that really played within the universe of Star Wars extremely well, but it also gave a new story. And I think that's what this Halo series needs to look to do. So those are probably my top three right now. I think Uncharted, The Last of Us, and Halo. A few other ones out there, like I think Fallout is being done by the people who did Westworld, which was another one of those ones that was kind of up there with Game of Thrones for a while. So it has some potential as well if they can kind of hit that same vein of kind of apocalyptic, kind of a little bit of like I don't even know, like a utopian society. It'll be interesting how they blend it all together, but I think Fallout could have some potential as well. But for now, we're just going to sit back. We're starting to get casting calls in for all these series, and we'll have to see how they end up eventually playing out. Okay, I'm going to refresh my browser over here.
Do it.
Okay, cool. I think we're working again. My Twitch chat is also freaking out tonight. Like number-wise, I have jumped from 3 to like 15 back and forth. So I have no idea what's actually happening in Twitch. Just watching chat here and there. But yeah, so numbers. Woo. Speaking of numbers, John, bidding prices for the Witcher 3 Gwent and Cyberpunk source code. That happened last week. CD Projekt Red can't catch a break, John. The developer was recently hit with a ransomware attack that stole a number of things, including those source codes I just mentioned. A number of other data pieces as well, like company emails, company announcements that were supposed to just be to employees within the company, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. So CD Projekt Red, they could pay the price. They could keep this all done in secret. They could talk to the police in secret. They went full out. They made a public announcement that this happened. They told users that, to their knowledge, no user data was taken, so everyone should be safe from that perspective. They came out and alerted the police as well publicly. So they took everything public. They said they would not pay the fee, and they were just going to keep and handle everything as publicly as they could. So a few days later, the hackers ended up saying, okay, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. We're going to go ahead and take it as an auction on the dark web. So they did that as a little spider on a web. They crawled up onto that dark web and they said, hey, everything's for sale. 7 million will buy it all, or we're going to go ahead and take bids starting at $1 million. So they went ahead and did that. They kicked off the auction with $1 million as the starting price. And then eventually they got a call. It could have been from CD Projekt Red. It could have been from an angry stockholder who is having so many issues holding on to that CD Projekt Red stock. We really don't know. But eventually the code was bought outside of the auction. The quote being, an offer was received outside the forum that satisfied us with the conditions of further non-distribution. So that to me is the key here. Not only did they find a bid that was satisfied, most likely $7 million, but on top of that, they had the particular condition in there that there was no distribution any further than what they're doing here. That to me, John, and again, it's not public of what it could be, but I would not be surprised if it was purchased by CD Projekt Red with that particular clause attached onto it.
You know, normally I'm pro hacker. Normally, I think a lot of the times when hackers get together, there's some good that can come out of it. Mainly, there's some kind of message you're trying to send. This one just feels like a group of people came together to punish CD Projekt Red even more than they're already being punished in the media for just how awful Cyberpunk's release was. I know a lot of people are upset about it, especially on last gen consoles. Look, I get it. Like, you as a consumer have the right to be upset, but you don't have the right to go in and hack into a database and steal the source code for these 3 titles and then sell it for profit. Like, to me, like, that makes no sense. And then, like, you're gonna have the moral high ground to put the clause in there that the purchaser can't redistribute it. Like, I'm sorry, you stole it, and then you're going to take the moral high ground by saying you can't sell it again or distribute it afterwards. Yeah, it does make me think maybe CD Projekt Red was the one that bought it. They did go out publicly and say that they won't do that they don't negotiate with hackers. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did do this on the back end, on the dark web. But it just, I don't know, it bugs me. Like, if you're going to hack and you're gonna make a ransomware attack on a company like this, but then you worked into the stipulation that, oh, well, you can't redistribute it afterwards. I don't know. To me, that just it's fishy. It smells fishy.
I mean, it literally is fishy, John.
Yeah.
They probably fished to get the code. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's just one of those things that, like you said, it's just it shouldn't have a place in the industry at all. I mean, I hate to say it, but it just hacking and stealing stuff that is not yours is no good in any sense, whether it be a grocery store, whether it be a Target, whether it be here online with video game codes. Stealing is never a good thing. But I think the fact that they went out, not only stole it, but are then once again selling it here, selling it originally to CD Projekt Red, which is bad enough, telling people to buy what they already own, and then going out and selling it further to someone else. I hope it's CD Projekt Red that bought it. I hate to see them lose $7 million on this. But losing the source code for a game is so much worse, in my opinion. That allows the ability for more hackers, especially when you look at Cyberpunk that's eventually going to have an online multiplayer mode coming out later this year or early next year. That source code being out there allows for more potential security instabilities as hackers are able to work in it, depending who ended up buying the code. So that to me is a very much a red flag in that sense, especially knowing that CD Projekt Red already having so many issues with this game, now having this on top of it. They're just trying to fix the bug, guys, and now they're having people jump into their servers and steal a bunch of other stuff as well. So yeah, I think this is super disappointing. Unfortunately, from a LvLUp perspective, there's really not much you and I can do about it. If we had $7 million laying around, sure, CD Projekt Red will help you out, get your code back. But we do not, so that is not a thing we are able to do, and someone has already bought it. Again, hoping it was CD Projekt Red or an investor, but if not, it's one of those things to keep an eye on, especially if you're looking to jump into Cyberpunk or one of these games, especially the multiplayer aspects of these games later down the line.
Joey, OTN Media is proud to announce our $7 million Patreon tier. Not only will you get a shout out on the show of your choice, but you can help us purchase source code for your favorite video game when they get hacked and a ransomware is being offered.
What a mess, ladies and gentlemen. What a mess. This one's a little bit more positive news, John, just heading down the line here. Playtonic Games, they had a little announcement. It's a little 6-year birthday party announcement that happened this past week. Playtonic Games has announced a light rebrand from Playtonic Games to Playtonic, dropping the games part of their name, as well as a new logo and the addition of a new publishing wing, Playtonic Friends. They're best known for their Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor, Yooka-Laylee. John, if you want to pull up a picture of that, I know I didn't have it in the notes, but Yooka-Laylee is kind of like a chameleon bat type of combination, similar to what we have with Banjo-Kazooie, the bear and the bird. This kind of came after it. I've played a little bit of Yooka-Laylee. I know some people are huge fans of it. I do not lives up to that Banjo. Maybe harsher critic within me did enjoy it a bit. But it definitely did not quite feel that same as Banjo-Kazooie. And again, you don't want it to feel exactly the same, but if you're going to play a game in that same general vein, you kind of want a few more similarities. It, to me, did not have as many as I was looking for, so I didn't last very long in there. But yeah, it is a cool game. It is a cool studio, mainly known for those, like, I guess, E-rated titles, at least so far in their design. They've really stuck to those E for everyone titles, but they could eventually branch off, now opening up this publishing branch as well. That their idea behind the publishing branch is to help some more independent developers find their way in without having to sign contracts potentially with bigger people, like your Nintendo, your Microsoft, your Sony, your Tencent, trying to avoid some of those bigger corporations, but allowing them to jump in and help get their game funded on a little bit of a lower, but still somewhat independent level. This next one's interesting, John. I don't think this is an improvement in my humble opinion. But in light of this past year, after the Ubisoft's earning call, there was a lot of talk about Tom Clancy's naming for their kind of spin-off Rainbow Six Siege title, which was going to be Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine. A lot of the comments on the earnings call were, is Quarantine a really good name for a game title pending everything that has happened in 2020 with people losing so much time with family and friends and all the issues going on with quarantining in their own homes? So overall, Ubisoft had thought about this a bit here and there, but after that call, they decided to go ahead and make it official. They have now changed the name from Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine to Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Parasite. John, to me, I mean, I've had my own struggles here and there with Quarantine, but a Parasite to me does not make it sound that much more welcoming.
No, I mean, I think this is so stupid. First off, Tom Clancy, you may have had the most realistic and most relatable title in video game history, which I think, you know, when people search for quarantine, that's a key word. Guess what pops up? Your video game. So there you go. Like, profit off of it. I mean, we all know Big Pharma's profiting off of this. We all know, like, people are profiting off the pandemic. Like, that's something that everyone needs to understand. You know, this name means nothing. Like, calling it quarantine doesn't mean people are gonna be like, oh, that reminds me of what we went through in 2020 and what we're continuing to go through in 2021. No, I mean, I think that ship has sailed. No one cares anymore. But now you're gonna change it to call it Parasite? I mean, it's essentially the same thing. What does a parasite do? It travels from host to host, infecting people. This is the dumbest PR stunt I've seen in a very long time. And I would expect Tom Clancy, you know, this game title, this game genre that has history behind it and a lot of fans behind it to be a little more smart, a little more educated in that. But no, apparently Parasite tested better with the bean counters and with the public test groups than Quarantine did. It makes no sense. It's stupid, in my opinion.
And I mean, I get that people have had issues with Quarantine here and there. This seems like a needless change to me.
It's
like,
so dumb.
Like you said, I think the SEO is probably in favor of Quarantine. You're going to have more searches hit that particular wording than Parasite. I mean, when you search Parasite, you're probably going to come up with the film that won the Oscars that they ended up winning? Parasite, the film?
Yeah.
Am I on the wrong award show?
No,
Okay.
No, you're 100% correct. That was
I can never remember Oscars, Academy,
movie.
whatever.
Fantastic.
Yeah, very good. Recently saw it. I thought it was phenomenal. But yeah, Tom Clancy, like, I think Rainbow Six Quarantine is fine. I don't think this is necessarily needed as a change. Do I think Parasite's going to end the game? Is that the end of it? No, not at all. I think it'll still sell fine. I just think Quarantine was an unnecessary change. It's one of those things that fits well enough. It's going to market itself well enough. Just because we've had a quarantine the last couple months, really for the full year at this point, I'm not going to go out and avoid a game because I've spent the last year in quarantine. It's not going to happen. Now, Parasite, that to me almost makes it sound a bit more like a horror title, and maybe that's the direction they end up going. But yeah, it seems unnecessary. I think this is getting a lot of news, which it should. People like the name change. People don't like the name change, but it feels unnecessary to me. It feels like it shouldn't need to take up headlines. The name shouldn't need to change. They shouldn't have to rebrand. unless there's a deeper change going on within the game to make it feel like more of a horror game, or maybe a bit deeper on that parasitic aspect of the virus. I don't know. It seems unnecessary to me.
Just like change it to something that isn't that closely related. Like if you're going to make a change, it shouldn't be something in the same ballpark.
But I think it is like a virus based, like, I don't know if it's virus or zombie or whatever's going on, but I think it's like something infected is going on.
I know, but like it just feels like the change, it feels like a lateral change. Like it didn't feel like it was in one direction or the other. It just felt like it was on the same playing field. And I feel like that's why it's receiving that criticisms, because it's like, okay, you don't like quarantine because of what's going on. Whoa, what are you going to change it to? Parasite. Oh, okay, Joey. That's like if we took LvLUp Live and changed it to Experience Boost in Game Live. It's the same thing. It's the same
so much
thing.
worse.
It is. I mean, but it is worse. But I'm just saying, it's on that same playing field as just. It's just like, why? Why would you do it? Like,
I mean, they almost treat it like it's Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six coronavirus in a sense, which it's not. It's quarantine. It's different. Quarantine is used in so many different terms. I personally like the name Quarantine better than Parasite for this particular title. Who knows? They've changed the name. Some people are going to buy it. Some people are not going to buy it. The gaming world will move on. And so will we, John, because we're going to move on to our next topic. That is the Xbox app. Not too much to touch on here. But if you're an achievement hunter like me, who just loves that little ding sound, like even when John is streaming a title, like Tell Me Why, and I hear the little achievement thing pop, it just brightens a smile on my face. I have to type something in chat. I just love that small fulfillment. It's like, I can't even think of the one thing in psychology, but that one thing where what's the theory I'm trying to think of? Like where the mouse gets the cheese if they do the puzzle right. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, like where they ring the triangle for the dog like for food.
Bell,
oh my
chat.
gosh.
Someone help me out here. Okay, we're all useless. See, this is how much attention we paid in our psychology class. Is it Freudian? No, it's not.
No,
Freudian.
definitely not Freudian.
It's Pavlov, something Pavlov, the dog, Pavlov dog, right?
Joey, in that last example, you know how we talked about like examples on the same playing field?
Oh, no.
That was very different. It's
Pavlov. I'm pretty sure it's Pavlov.
It's Pavlov. You're right.
Okay. So Pavlov. So that is what the achievement thing gives to me. It makes me want to do more achievements. It wants me to explore more in this achievement world. But anyway, before I dive more into my experience, for those other people who like to look at their achievements, who like to achievement hunt in different games here and there, the new Xbox app is finally adding achievements back in. This is a significant update, either coming later this month or early next, where we will see achievements brought back in, as well as improvements to console broadcasting and a few other things that they have yet to announce. Personally, I'm hoping they've dove more into the achievement system and kind of changed a couple more things up. Maybe add, I don't know, some more of a rarity scale or something. Right now you have points, which is great. Like 100 points is a rarer achievement, 50 points, a little bit less, and so on and so forth. I feel like they could add some more color coding into that. I think PlayStation does a good job with trophies, the changes they made over there. I think it's like a completed game is a platinum trophy, higher level stuff, or maybe it's based on percentage of achievements completed. I don't remember exactly, John. You're the PlayStation user for this past generation among us, so you'll have to dive more into that. But overall, I like this change. I hope we see more depth coming to it, but at least for those people who are struggling to find their achievements in an accessible part outside of their Xbox console, you can now do so again in the app here in the coming months. Another site I would go ahead and shout out is True Achievements. They've done really great. I really like going there for guides or to dive into like the percentage of people based on who has done what, how close people are to it, or how many achievements they've unlocked in a certain game. All of those stats are really good over on True Achievements over there. I know you were chatting in chat over there. As far as PlayStation goes, is it based on percentage that the trophy changes color, or is it rarity?
I believe it is percentage of the achievements completed.
Because it's like bronze, silver, gold, and then platinum, right?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go percentage. I think that's correct as well. So anyway, nothing really more to expand on there. Xbox Achievement Hunters, that will be coming back to your app sooner than later. This next one is kind of exciting, John. I don't think it'll have a huge impact on you and I, but I do think it will potentially have a bigger impact worldwide as we continue to see the gaming landscape change. This is the launch of Xbox Cloud Gaming for PC and iOS. So currently it's out there. You can cloud stream your console. You can also cloud stream to Android devices. Now, eventually, you'll be able to cloud stream to PCs and iOS phones. So that's your Apple phones, your Apple tablets, iPhones, iPads, all that good stuff. On top of that, the Mac computer will also be available in addition to Windows PCs. So I'm excited for this, John. I think this is one way, at least for us, like maybe we know a few people who are only console gamers or who don't want to dive into PC gaming or maybe can't afford PC gaming. This allows that accessibility to potentially play these games on a PC, to jump in, to have that ability to not have to have a super powered PC to run them. But you can say, hey, I have my laptop that's 7 years old and I can hop on there because it's not using that processing power. It's driving from the cloud and through Wi-Fi or hopefully a plugged in connection for a lot of people with that Ethernet port. I think this is a cool way to include more people into the overall realm of gaming and to do so at a cheaper price.
Yeah, I mean, xCloud's going to be great. Cloud-based gaming, we've talked about it here before. As long as it's not Google Stadia, it's the future. So, you know, Microsoft and xCloud is really leading the way here. And so far from everything we've seen, it looks really good. And I feel like it's going to be able to convince people to possibly make that transition, to PC gaming. You know, if not, like what Microsoft is really trying to do here is almost feels like it's trying to consolidate the amount of equipment you need in order to do certain things. Like, you know, when computers and laptops were really coming up through the 90s, it took time for video games to really find their place and have computers to really get that power to play those games. You still had to go through the console. You still had to go through the PlayStation, through Sega Genesis, if we're going old school, all the way up through Dreamcast. And then, you know, you have Xbox coming out in 360. And then even those made a change to entertainment systems. Now it feels like with cloud-based gaming, you know, if you're in a family like a lot of families are around the world, they really can only afford a computer, but you still want to play games and you don't want to pay the high-end price for a gaming PC, cloud gaming is the next best thing because it's not going to be that harsh on your computer. You hardwire, connect it, and you're set. You're really good to go. And it's, from what it sounds like, the system requirements aren't going to have that gigantic gatekeeping mark in order to play, which is a huge win, a massive win for gamers and new gamers coming into the space. Because if you're a parent, maybe you don't want to drop $500 on a console. Maybe little Timmy needs to learn, you know, how to use his $300 laptop a little bit better. And now little Timmy can play on Microsoft xCloud, and it makes just more sense.
Yeah, so one of the big questions that always comes up, so I can confirm it's not going to take much hardware. It's not really going to overpower your CPU or your GPU. One of the big things is latency. So Google Stadia got hit a lot with latency. You saw, I think it was actually locally, the Washington Post were the people who put out the original video, Gene over there. He ended up clicking a button and then you watch the delay of the person actually jumping in the game based on that button press. And over time, Google Stadia got better. The latency got cut down. For me, I tried Projekt xCloud. It was only available for Halo MCC at the time for iOS. It felt pretty decent. You could definitely tell there was an input lag compared to like playing a shooter on a console or playing it on PC. But it wasn't like overwhelming latency. I don't think you could play competitively on there. But if it was like a single player game, I don't think it'd be the end of the world. We do have Walker in chat though tonight. I think he's still over there. Walker, I know you have an Android phone and have tested it on there. What are your thoughts on the latency? Do you feel like latency has improved since it initially came out back in October? Do you feel like it's moving in the right direction? Is it unplayable for certain games? I'm curious to get your thoughts over there in chat. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the biggest thing when it comes to latency. Like, can I play single player games only? Can I dive further into multiplayer games? And I think that's an answer we're going to have as it comes over time. One other thing that everyone seems to forget about is with this Bethesda deal, if or when it eventually closes with Microsoft acquiring ZeniMax and Bethesda, they have technology for what is arguably the best cloud gaming that's not out to the public yet. And that is the Orion technology they showed at E3 a couple years back. That supposedly is miles ahead of what Microsoft is currently using, what Google is using, what Amazon is using. It's practically light speed. Again, internet connection is going to play a part here, whether you're on Wi-Fi, whether you're Ethernet, whether you're getting 1,000 gigabytes versus 100 gigabytes. Anything like that is definitely going to make an impact here and there. But that is one thing to keep in mind with this Bethesda deal that no one seems to pay attention to, is that technology coming under the Microsoft umbrella as well.
Yeah, I mean, xCloud's going to be great. Cloud-based gaming, we've talked about it here before. As long as it's not Google Stadia, it's the future.
And it looks like Walker has entered in chat. I wouldn't play Destiny 2 on it, but I enjoyed single player systems with no issues. One other thing to keep in mind, and I think this is fully public at this point, they're using Xbox Series S blades currently. Those will all be upgraded to the new Xbox Series X blades later this year. I think they're targeting late fall, I don't know. What do you call September? Is that late fall, early fall, mid fall? I think September is what it's being targeted.
Mid fall?
Sometime in the fall. But yeah, I think September. Depending on how you count August, if you count that as summer or fall, I think September is their target right now to upgrade all those Xbox Series S blades to Xbox Series X, which is a very, very big jump when you go from last-gen consoles, mid-last-gen consoles, to completely new current-gen consoles as we move forward. So you're going to look at probably a 3 to 4 times improvement as far as proficiency, as far as hardware usage, as far as technology availability for these new features as well. Hey, sir, I'm excited for that. Again, we have our PCs over here, but I think that is a cool way to get more friends involved, whether they're on console, whether they're on mobile. It'll find a way to include them more into games. And maybe you're not sticking with the shooters because the latency is a little bit too bad. League of Legends, you're not going to be playing on a console anyway. But a few of those other games, like a Civilization, for example, again, that's super powerful. Depending how big of the map you end up running, it does take a lot of resources to run that game. Now they could potentially jump in on a 7-year-old laptop and just go ahead and cloud stream it. So I'm super excited to see how all this ends up playing out as we move forward into this new tech gen. Couple game updates, leaks, and rumors. Not a ton for you guys this week. I think it will drop a little bit more later on in the week on Thursday's episode. But for now, for Forza Horizon, potentially 5, potentially no number. There's a leak image of the next location of the Forza Horizon franchise. This started circulating around the internet last week, John. We saw a couple images pop up here and there. I did post one here in our notes. And then a couple other ones came out, a few new sketches here and there. One thing to keep in mind, guys, any image that drops on the internet could easily be fabricated. It doesn't mean it's real. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's right. There could be parts of it that are right. There could be other parts that are completely fabricated. This one in particular shows an image of Japan, the Kanagawa and the Yokohama regions. I love the idea of a Horizon game in Japan. I think that would be so cool. Particularly like as you go through the different seasons, which is what Horizon is known for. You hit your winter, your spring, your fall, your autumn, whatever you want to call it. And you just go all the way around and you get all these fun little seasons and the trees change and all that stuff. So I love the idea of driving through with like cherry blossom petals falling everywhere. I love the idea of like Japanese, like traditional architecture as well. Like maybe we get some of that feudal look to it here and there. I can say that I've heard that it's going to be in Japan for like 7 to 8 months now. This is the first time I've seen anything of it. So I tend to be a little, hesitant with leaks in general, but knowing that I've heard Japan as the next region for quite a while now, I think this could be true, John. And if it is, I really like the look of this map.
Yeah, it looks pretty sweet. If these leaks are true, kind of cycling through the 3 I have here on Twitter that you linked, it looks pretty sweet. If it is going to be taking place in Japan, I think that's going to be a very awesome experience for Forza Horizon players. I think it's going to be sweet.
So a couple things, just looking at the map you have up now, I kind of hope that bay or that lake area ends up freezing over during the winter. I think that would be a really cool place to hold like exclusive races or to skate across the frozen ice or whatever would be kind of cool. The other thing, if you look at I guess it's like the first third of the map, you see that really long leg road, that completely straight road. I think that could be really fun. Particularly for like multiplayer events, like maybe like a drift race or something like that, hitting that as high as you can go speed limit with a Ferrari or Lamborghini. I think that has a lot of potential there as well. You get this cool windy roads where you can kind of have your own like Formula One style races too. So I think Japan has loads of potential, especially if this map does end up being true. Just the areas that are able to be explored. There's so many different roads. You have your long road, you have your lake as well. You have a little bit of kind of like not necessarily mountain scenery, but you have a little bit of higher altitude scenery as well. So I think there's a lot of potential with this map. And again, the cherry blossoms being a big draw to Japan, as well as some of that architectural essence as well. So I've started playing. I had never played a Forza Horizon game until this Christmas time. I hopped into Forza Horizon 4 when it came to PC for Game Pass. Absolutely loved it. I think it's a fun franchise. Again, motorsport is kind of like your super realistic Forza franchise. It's going to lead more like your NASCAR and your Formula One, and there's very specific tunings. While you can still tune in Horizon, it plays a bit more of an arcadey feel. It almost encourages running through walls and running over trees and craziness like that. It still has its realism aspects, but it does have those arcadey aspects as well. I think the idea of collecting cars, doing custom paint jobs allows for a lot of creativity too. So I'm excited. If this eventually goes to Japan as the next map, I think there could be loads of potential there. Anything else you want to say on Forza or racing games in general? Oh, Siri is listening to me. Siri, you better chill over there. Leaking it for the listeners, not for you.
Joey, it's those CD Projekt Red hackers are coming for you.
Oh, gosh. The LvLUp source code has been leaked, ladies and gentlemen. You can now only download the podcast episodes for $7 million. Speaking
Not
of
worth.
crazy leaks, John, this next one, Microsoft. We'll talk about this a little bit. We are not going to confirm or deny anything. But one thing people have been seeing, I mean, it started, I feel like, I don't even know, the spring. And then it came out in the fall. And now it's become deeper and deeper. So someone eventually teased something that Microsoft has acquired studio, which they have. I can confirm they've acquired multiple studios. This is one that has been jumping around a bit in the public, and that is Techland. We know, like I said, I think it was the spring that it started, maybe like March time. They went over there. They had a talk with someone in Poland. A lot of people thought it could have been a few different studios, possibly for acquisition, possibly for some kind of published contract. We've seen Sony do it a lot with exclusivity this past generation. They thought Microsoft could be biting back and trying to get some exclusive deals for like 1 year exclusivity or one mode exclusivity, like we saw with Sony and Call of Duty. It's one of those things that could go any direction. But as of recently, the big rumor is that Microsoft has acquired Techland and will be making Dying Light 2 an Xbox exclusive. Again, Xbox exclusive, guys, don't get mad here yet. That does include console, your mobile game streaming with xCloud, as well as PC as a general platform. So that Xbox name now incorporates all of those. So the misser outs would be kind of PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and potentially that Nintendo Switch if it would ever come over there anyway. I think parts of this could be true, and I think parts could be false. We look at Techland. They just recently bought a new studio over the summer. Very nice studio, very pretty, very big. They're expanding their team. So part of the question comes up, well, did they have a game that did really well recently, or could they have some outside funding? Why are they buying all this stuff, and where is all this money coming from? So a lot of people look at that as like, oh, it could be Microsoft, it could be Sony, it could be some kind of acquisition. God bless, don't count out Tencent either, because you know they're putting their pockets into everything. I don't know what to think of this. One of the people, I believe is the community manager, came out from Techland and said that they have not been acquired, that this is not happening. There's no Dying Light 2 particular agreement in place. My other comeback to that would be, if you look at the community managers, the same one at Bethesda said there's no Bethesda deal between Microsoft and Bethesda, and 2 or 3 days later it became official. So I don't know how much I trust a community manager. Again, I think they're great people. I think they're doing their job. I just don't know if they're always included in these bigger conversations on more of a corporate level. So take it with a grain of salt, however you will. My biggest issue with Techland is they already have a zombie game making company at Microsoft. You look at Undead Labs, they make State of Decay 2. They're now working on a AAA State of Decay 3. They have their zombie games. They have Blooper that does horror games. Again, that kind of fits into that Techland area as well. So my question is, I mean, it kind of feels like they're overkilling the idea of a zombie game here. A little bit of pun intended there, I guess. But yeah, it feels like it might not be a necessary acquisition for me.
Yeah, and within seconds of each other in chat, both Squircle and Tots, State of Decay, quote, sucks, according to both of them, which I would have to third. So something else to keep in mind here, you know, the whole point of these community managers is they're a part of the PR team. They're going to deny everything. They have to deny everything because there may be negotiations going on behind the scenes that if it became public would hurt those negotiations. Prime example, if you pay attention to what our Lord and Savior Apple is doing, they're trying to develop a car to go up against Tesla. They were in talks with Hyundai, the South Korean automaker, to produce the new Apple car. Hyundai acknowledged they were in talks with Apple against the wishes of Apple, and those talks and negotiations completely broke down to the point now where, who knows, maybe they're lying about it, but I would see Apple completely pulling out of that deal because it went public before it was supposed to go public. So they're supposed to lie about these things. You know, usually if there's a lot of rumors popping up, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. But until you see a lot of smoke, you can't really go down that direction as of yet. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind there. But yeah, Joey, I agree with you. I think this is kind of like oversaturated. Now, again, I think zombie games are oversaturated to begin with, but why are you going to have multiple developers under that umbrella doing the same thing? It feels like you're competing against yourself then. And, you may see that as a win-win, but in reality, it's only a win-win if it's two very different games, because then you're going after two very different groups of gamers, versus now you have two developers going after the same exact group of gamers. And to me, it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense having two developers with that same style of game development under your umbrella.
Now, sticking with the same general idea here, switching gears just because chat is talking about State of Decay. So I'll be the first to say I have not played State of Decay. I heard State of Decay 2 came out and it was very poor at the beginning. I've heard since then it's improved a ton. They've added a lot of, I think it's all free DLC. On top of that, they've made a lot of major changes. So I've heard it feels like a very different game now. With that being said, I don't know if it's that great compared to other zombie games out there. The other thing I will say is State of Decay 3 is going to feel like a completely different game. I can't tell you all of the people working there, but there are a lot of big name people now working at Undead Labs. On top of that, this is the first time it's getting a AAA budget. So your State of Decay 2 and State of Decay 1 were single or AA budgets, depending how you look at it. This is going to get more years in development and a lot more money in development. On top of that, the team, I don't know if it's doubled, but it's at least a quarter bigger than it. Oh, hello, screen change. Nightlight just hit. That scares the crap out of me every time it does that.
Boomer Vision hit Joey.
Oh my gosh. Like with F.Lux, that thing was like gradual and I barely noticed. And this is just like, whom. I thought I just lost power or something. That was scary. Just like zombies in State of Decay. But yeah, so State of Decay 3, guys, should be a lot, let's say, more exciting game. It should have a lot more depth to it. The visuals, I can guarantee, will be much, much better. I think there's going to be some different play as well. Like currently, I believe it's more like a setup and survival type of game. I think you're still going to get that, but I think there's going to be a bit more story to it as well. I want to say kind of like an Arc 2 comparison here, where I think it will have more narration, it'll have more lore to it, but on top of that, it will still have that survival gameplay that people do love. Just a bit of an updated version of it going forward. As far as Techland goes, I'm not going to confirm that they have acquired them. I really don't know. I've heard their name come up a number of times, mostly from public rumors, though, as opposed to inside rumors. I would not be surprised if they did. But again, similar to what John and I were saying, it just feels like of all the things they're trying to fill right now, like games for everyone, they kind of are limited in the E-rated game area. So that kind of points more to something like Sega. JRPGs is another genre. This doesn't really fill that either. So when you're looking at what Techland brings to the table, they're not bringing like a catalog of games that can be added to Game Pass. They bring some here and there. Call of Juarez was pretty good over there. You can argue Dying Light 1 was not bad either. So they have their well-known games. Dying Light 2 looks good. It has a lot of promise to it. It's going to be a much bigger game than Dying Light 1. But overall, it's one of those things that it doesn't feel like it fits the niche of what they need right now. Now, I wouldn't be surprised with Microsoft money. Anything is possible. They can buy whoever the hell they want. They can expand them. They can even say, hey, are you guys interested in doing something that's not zombies? Very possible moving forward. I just think overall, it doesn't necessarily fit the catalog as much as some other studio acquisitions could. So overall, we don't know if Techland is being acquired. It's possible. The other thing is Dying Light 2. I think the idea of that being an Xbox exclusive, at least a limited time exclusive, to me has a higher probability than a full acquisition. Again, not really sure either way, but I would not be surprised, especially after Sony has come out with so many big announcements as far as limited time exclusives, if Xbox tries to fight back a little bit with some exclusives of their own.
I'll tell you what we can do, Joey. Let's go ahead and open up that $7 million Patreon tier, and then let's go and hire them to hack in to the Microsoft network, and we can pull all that information out to find out what's really going on behind the scenes there, and then sell it back to Microsoft for the $7 million that we get from the Patreon tier. It's flawless. It works. I saw it with some CD Projekt Red company.
Oh my
when they got
gosh.
hacked. It is guaranteed money in the bank, Joey. Guaranteed.
Money in the bank. Okay, guys, just a couple more things for today's episode. We'll move the rest to Thursday. Guys, we have BlizzCon kicking off this week. That is February 19th. We'll have a preview on Thursday's episode. I'm also working on an article as well to post on the website about some things that could be coming out here in BlizzCon. If you guys want to check that out, that's blizzcon.com for that particular ticket. It is free this year, John. Free as long as you don't want to pay microtransactions. There's no ticket cost for the virtual ticket or an in-person ticket because there is no in-person event for the public. If you do want the Celebration Collection, there are a couple bundles out there. You guys can check out what they include. But the Essentials pack starts at $20 with the Epic pack going up to $60. John is shaking his head because he does not want to pay $60 for a WoW mount. And I completely agree if that's his decision. But if that's something you're into, if you want your Heroes of the Storm collectible, your Hearthstone card back, your, I don't know, StarCraft 2 profile picture, whatever they include in these packs usually, there's some good things here and there. But again, this one, at least from what I've seen, John, does not look that thrilling to me.
So just real quick, I'm going to go through this rapid pace. Every pack gets the following: 50% off at the Blizzard Gear Store, 10 Madness at the Dark Moon Fair card packs, Hearthstone, Tracer Rogue mount for Heroes of the Storm, 5 loot boxes in Overwatch, 30th anniversary player icon and spray coming to Overwatch, coming soon. So, Overwatch 2. Set of 30th anniversary portraits for StarCraft 2 and StarCraft Remastered, Pet Diablo 3, Portrait Diablo 3, very specific there, thank you Blizzard, and a Moon-touched Netherwelt pet for the World of Warcraft. Then in the Heroic and Epic pack, your 2 premium tiers will include the Snowstorm mount for World of Warcraft, Wings from Diablo 3 coming soon. We don't know what that is. Reinhardt Legendary Skin Overwatch, and Random Madness at the Hearthstone again. And then in the Epic pack, oh my gosh, you're giving us free money for a free convention that we're putting online. You will get 30 days of game time for World of Warcraft, 5 golden Madness at the Dark Moon Fair card packs, 3 golden loot boxes in Overwatch, and a transmog set that is TBA for Diablo 3. Joey, I'm going to spend approximately $0 on this because none of this is exciting whatsoever.
Okay, I mean, to me, the Heroic pack has no place then. Like, if you're going to be a WoW player, you have to go Epic if you're going to go with the Heroic at the very least. I mean, you might as well pay the extra money because you're going to pay $15 in subscription anyway, right? So it's a $5 extra cost for all of
I mean, you get that plus hold on.
Loot boxes.
Well, for Overwatch, if you play Overwatch, but I mean, really, if you are a WoW player, you're only getting the 30-day free time. Like, if you don't play Hearthstone, Overwatch, or Diablo 3, there's no point in having the Epic pack. Like, the Heroic pack is the way to go, but even then, it's like, then you're missing out on the 30 days of free game time, which is a $15 thing there. So that's $55. It's actually still cheaper to do the Heroic pack if you're an Overwatch player than pay your monthly subscription. You save $5 if you don't play any of the other Blizzard titles. It's just, the pricing makes no sense. The exclusive, the items in here make no sense. It's very lackluster compared to other years.
Did they spell Reinhardt wrong?
Hold on a second. Did they?
Yeah, I wonder if that's like the name of this skin though. They said Reinhardt legendary skin. Maybe the name of the skin is Reinhardt.
Oh my, hold on. That is
either that or that is a bad misspelling here.
They may have no. Apparently it is the skin name.
Okay, good. Oof.
Reinhardt.
So check the website.
Yikes.
Okay, so that's that. BlizzCon, again, guys, is starting on the 19th. Those of you who don't watch all the panels, the opening ceremony is the thing that most people tune in for. That one is happening on the 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So go ahead and mark your calendars for that. It's going to run approximately about an hour long. If they get started on time, it should run from about 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely check out that. And on top of that, there's a big dive into a bunch of different panels. If you're into WoW, you get the What's Next panel. I would assume they announced the next expansion or the next, I guess, chapter or part of the expansion, whatever they call it. As far as Shadowlands go, Hearthstone, you probably get a new expansion released here as well. Diablo 4 is not ready, and neither is Overwatch 2. But you might get some behind the scenes stuff on those. Maybe a dive into what kind of characters or heroes to expect in Overwatch. Maybe you look at what Diablo, I don't know, maybe another teaser trailer, something like that. I really don't know, but it's going to be a very different aspect here for BlizzCon this year. I wouldn't get your expectations too high. I think they moved it from November to February to give fans something, but I don't think fans are going to get like an overwhelming amount of new information. Again, Overwatch 2 is not coming out this year, neither is Diablo 4. So those are kind of your big things. Your next biggest thing is probably that WoW expansion or a Hearthstone expansion, depending who you are and what you like to play. So those are things to look forward to. On top of that, get your mobile phones ready, guys, because I can tell you there are 4 or 5 mobile games in development. Diablo Immortal, I believe is the name of it, should be dropping here soon. But on top of that, they have at least 3 or 4 more games in development. I don't know if they'll tell you what they are yet, but I can tell you they're targeting one for every one of their IPs. So you might hear more about that this BlizzCon as well. Okay, Minecraft. We talked about it last week, but just to refresh your brains, fresh Minecraft Dungeons content is on its way to you February 24th. That is going to be Flames of the Nether. It's coming out with a new update. It's free new update. FREE, free. No money have to be paid on that. You do get some new game modes and good stuff with that as well. So keep an eye out. February 24th. Microsoft has announced its AI Gaming Research Summit. This one's going to run February 23rd to the 24th. Guys, this is not a gaming event. Do not expect to see Halo Infinite gameplay. Do not expect to see anything Fable, any new game announcements. They're probably going to dive into a bit of the feature-based stuff. Maybe if they change up the achievement system, we'll see a little bit of that. I think you'll see backwards compatibility. I don't know if it's fully public yet, but they're doing a lot of different things on the backwards compatibility end. On top of the God knows how many thousands of titles they already have in the system, they're doing some cool little improvements to what you guys always have as capabilities of playing those games back, some new features that will be coming to those older games. So that's something cool to look forward to as well. Probably new tech and different things like that. So they'll probably go a bit into some of the ray tracing potential and good stuff like that for the new consoles. But again, do not expect new game announcements, new game trailers, anything like that. Mainly technology based, and that's February 23rd to the 24th. John, this next one, I know you're stoked for this. You got to catch them all. This is the virtual Pokemon concert with Post Malone, February 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I expected something for the Pokemon anniversary. I did not expect a Post Malone concert, though.
Yeah, they're going to get everyone running in circles. I like Post Malone. Like, he's good. Like, I enjoy his music. Pokemon did not see that one coming. Kudos to them for like kind of going that Fortnite direction, having like an in-game concert. I saw the 3D rendering of what Post Malone's going to look like in game. It's actually pretty sweet. They got the face tats and everything right. It was really impressive. I hate to say this. I might check this out. I like Post Malone. I mean, I think it's better than some of the Fortnite concerts. You know, that's just my opinion. But like, we all know Post Malone's a big gamer. It's he's a big fan of Pokemon. He said it multiple times in a lot of interviews. He's actually really honored to. I mean, a lot of people would think this is weird. This is actually really cool. I'm probably going to check it out.
And I don't think he'll be the only artist there. I believe Katy Perry has been confirmed as well.
Oh God,
she was
never
the
mind.
original one that was confirmed.
I'm out.
I think she's hosting the night maybe as well. I'm not 100% sure. But Katy Perry with her Roar song will be there as a move in Pokemon as well. Then you have Post Malone, and I don't know who else they ended up getting, if they ended up getting other people, but they were targeting a slew of audience or a slew of artists to come out and really rival up their audience. But on top of that, the only one they really have advertised outside of Katy is Post Malone so far. So we'll have to go ahead and keep an eye out for that one again, February 27th, 7 p.m. Eastern time, if you want to tune into that one and catch all those vibes. And Forza Horizon 4 is headed to Steam, and that's going to drop on March 9th. Mark your calendars if you're interested in that one. For those PC gamers out there, it is also available on Game Pass currently. Last but not least, John, let's briefly recap the LEC and LCS for League of Legends and wrap up today's episode. Not diving too deep into those because we can dive deeper into them on Thursday. I do not have the standings up, but if you want to go ahead and run through the LEC and what we're looking like standing-wise.
The LEC decided to be non-European this past weekend. There's only 2 ties, and that's in first place with Rogue and G2 at 7-2. Fnatic in third place at 6-3. Excel tied with Mad Lions and Schalke 04, all three with 5 wins and 4 losses. SK Gaming in 7th, 4-5. Misfits Gaming 3-6 in 8th place. Astralis 2-7 in 9th. And Team Vitality, well, they're just happy to be a part of the LEC, and thank God for franchising, 1-8 in 10th place.
Absolutely. As far as matches this past week went, I think the biggest one was G2 and Rogue. You look at the 2 top of the table teams here at 7-2. They're both incredibly well right now. They've had their mishaps here and there. G2 losing to Schalke. Rogue also lost to Schalke, and then Fnatic took the other win, gave the other loss, I guess, to G2. Overall, both teams look good, though. They do have some room for improvement here and there. G2 coming out and really taking a nice win off Rogue, though. And overall, I think that's the biggest thing to take away from this is that your top teams are looking pretty good. There's still room for improvement, but overall, the LEC is off to a pretty hot start. Mad Lions, on the other hand, is looking a little sluggish. They're not quite bringing the same roar they did in the summer. They're looking a little bit more like Mufasa after the cliff. Spoiler alert.
My gosh, Joey. Oh my God.
Oh, that got a little out there. But yeah, they have looked a little rough. They have gotten beaten. Their corpse has been stampeded a bit. so far in the spring. I think there's definitely room for improvement for the Mad Lions, and I think the expectations, at least for now, are a little bit higher than they need to be. I think the Lions need to get their roar back into their game, because right now it feels a little bit more like a kitty cat. I think the other big takeaway here is team vitality. They did end up making a nice change in AD carry. They brought in Crown Shot, a very popular AD carry from last split. I believe he was top 3 statistically, now back in the LEC after doing a little bit of a streaming stint with SKT. So he is now back with vitality. Not the greatest showing so far this week, but they did end up looking like they have a little bit more potency to their roster. And then Astralis bringing on Magi Felix from Fnatic Academy, subbing into mid lane in place of Nuke Duck, came out and looked pretty good as well. Magi Felix, one of those players who constantly has accounts up in the top 10 of EU West. One of the biggest issues he has is straight stage fright when it comes to these in-person competitions. With all the competitions online currently, though, it allows him to kind of feel a bit more comfortable in that lineup. So hopefully that can transition to stage if he does end up being a long-term replacement over there for Nuke Duck as well. Other than that, I don't think there's too many takeaways to have here. Fnatic did have one that had to be remade. There's a bit of controversy around it. In the end, Fnatic won the remake as well, so I don't think we need to dive too much further into it. They did get the win regardless. So I think that's just about it for EU. If we want to take a hop over to the LCS, John, Cloud9 is currently on top at 5-1, sharing that spot with 100 Thieves. And we have Team Solo Mid not sitting solo in third place because they are tied up with Dignitas at 4-2. Evil Geniuses continuing to plod along, but currently sitting in fifth with Team Liquid, arguably one of the 2 top teams of the split, sitting at 3-3 right now and looking quite mediocre overall. Immortals at 2-4, sharing that spot with FlyQuest, sitting down in the 7th spot. Again, some potency from both these teams, but overall not enough consistency showing up in that top area. And then we have Counter Logic Gaming and the Golden Guardians sitting at 1-5.
Joey.
So overall, I think the bottom of the table of the LCS looking a lot different than the bottom of the table of the LEC. A lot of, I would say, the gap, in a sense, from the playoff teams to the non-playoff teams is quite big right now. Again, it's still early on in the season. There's still synergy to be made. The Golden Guardians with a completely new roster, CLG with a very different looking roster, and still missing Brox as well due to some visa issues with COVID-19 going on. Immortals, a very new roster, FlyQuest as well. So when you look at the young rosters here, your bottom 4 are all very young, and I think that's part of the reason they're not really competing at the highest level yet. The biggest question mark for me is Team Liquid. Team Liquid's here with a bunch of veterans. They brought in Alfari, who is arguably the top laner when it came to the LEC last year over in Europe. So Team Liquid, to me, is the biggest question mark of why they're underperforming so far, with very little changes, very few differences coming in, and so much veteran talent on that squad.
Yeah, just real quick, our resident Golden Guardian fan, Squirkle, has informed us that GG is more of a summer team than spring. I mean, in reality, Joey, it is still February. It's not even technically spring yet. So they may still, be in that winter hibernation. We don't know there. But Squirkle, I'm sorry for your 9th place standing of 1-5 currently. But yeah, Team Liquid, that definitely is the team with the biggest question mark. Jensen really hasn't played up to his potential. He's had some good games, he's had some bad games, and he's had some Jensen isn't really standing out at the moment like he has in the past several seasons. There's a lot of big question marks. Like you said, Joey, Team Liquid, a team that on paper should be battling for a top 3 spot, currently tied in 5th at 3-3. Again, just one game out of 3rd place though. So, they're not that far behind yet, but really, they've put up some questionable performances. TSM took a game off of them. TSM had a very slow start to the split. The past several games, they've come on, much to the demise of TSM haters all over the world. And now they're in 3rd place at 2-4. TSM had some of the worst games of League of Legends people have seen, but then they've also played some of the best clinically sound games of League of Legends as well. It's a big tale of 2 teams, it feels like, with TSM. But Team Liquid, mid-pack, still kind of trying to feel out where they belong in the LCS.
And that will be a question that we have to answer further on Thursday as we dive into the preview of their next matchups to come. But overall, John, I feel like we touched on a good amount of gaming news, a little bit of esports here and there. It'll probably be a little bit more esports heavy as we come to Thursday, as well as maybe a couple more gaming leaks in here for you guys as well. But I think that'll wrap up today's Monday episode.
Well, Nation, that is going to do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you will get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are part of OTN Media. Also, we're launching that new $7 million tier on Patreon, so hit us up if you're actually interested in that. If you haven't already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of LvLUp live. Listen, if not, you can always choose to listen to the podcast version as well, as the podcast version of the show is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. We love to hear from all of our listeners and viewers so much that Joey has a list of ways you can reach out to us. Joey, break out that list and tell us the ways LvLUp Nation can reach out to us.
Outside of the dark web auctions, you guys can find us on Twitter at LvLUp Live. That is LvLUP Live. You can also follow the umbrella network OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media, and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us up on Twitch as well, whether it be with a Twitch sub, a follow, just coming and hanging out and chat. That is twitch.tv/OTN Media. A number of shows throughout the week. LvLUp, this particular show, Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right, make sure you tune in this Thursday, February 18th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that sub and follow button here on Twitch to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing pleasures. We'll catch you all on Thursday. Have a great week. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always,
Level up.
You take it all so well, and I'm mesmerized. I know it's hard, but you can rest your mind. It'll be alright.